That's MEO energy water. I like the bottles. I don't want to waste a bunch of bottles, so I just refill them. I like tap water better than that.
So yeah, we got two.
Me too.
Filtered water.
Such a
Me too.
small units.
What is that?
Don't sound very good, Josh.
32, 16 or 32. I think
Is
it's
that all you
32.
heard of it?
Yeah.
1 liter, so I think that's 32.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's his energy.
Who's all your family now?
Well, they're all moved to Tennessee. Blake and John, he took the job down there with the wealth management company and a CPA firm, and so they're in Johnson City. They live about 5 minutes, 10-minute walk from Lawrence's house, and so and Michael's son is living in Mount Julius, so all 8 grandkids are volunteers. They're still not walking around with any orange t-shirts with a big D on them, but
Yeah, I was not sure the second.
Are we short anybody?
Yeah, we're waiting on Libby.
Mark, you there?
I am.
Oh, good. Good to have you come on board.
Well, thank you. It will remain to be seen, I guess, how good it's going to be, but
I'll assure you, it's an improvement.
Betty suggested that I may be a good thing not to say too much tonight, so I may be a little more quiet. Whose place did I take?
Tags, I guess.
Well, then I would agree.
Tags, and then Tag found.
We've been working on it for a while. Yeah.
You go off, you come to your January meeting, and that's it. The way that rotation is. Go 4 years, but your last meeting in January, not December.
Okay.
Except for Mark.
Yeah.
Marlon goes.
I guess it's about time to get started. Are we on the air, Josh?
Hang on 1 second, let me see.
She's coming, yeah, she's on vacation.
I don't know, do you have her number? I don't have her number.
Yeah, I was just looking for Libby, but I don't see her out here.
Now they've got these plastic bottles so thin they won't hardly even stand up anymore.
Libby's not showing up, huh?
Well,
She's on her way.
she's on her way if we give her just a second here.
You are live.
Okay. We'll wait a minute till she comes.
Can DT see us?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, I can see you. It's not the biggest screen in the world, but I can see the plant board much bigger.
Here she comes.
Yes. Yeah, right there.
How is everybody?
Good.
Come in, Louis.
Okay, everybody's here today.
All right, I guess it's that time. We'll call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Anyone have any recommendations or changes? Hearing none, we'll move ahead with that. Do we need approval on that? We need a vote on it?
Yeah, motion to approve the agenda.
All right, have a second?
No, that's me.
I'll make a
You need one.
Motion.
Have a motion, have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Meetings of the previous meeting I see
Yeah,
there's some markups. There's some markups in it. Is that,
We had to
There
make
is
a
it.
correction to it. The original minutes that were sent out mentioned Mark Haynes not being here. He was not sworn in until the following day, so he was not technically a board member. So we corrected that, and that second little excerpt shows that that part has been taken out. So we actually need to
Okay.
approve the corrected minutes.
anything else? Anybody else? Hearing none, do I hear a motion for approval of the minutes as corrected?
Motion.
Motion made, second?
Second.
Second by Marlon. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay, the first item on the agenda is the vehicle bids that I presume that Melanie has something to say about.
Yes, we have 2 bucket trucks that we're needing to purchase or replace. And with the lead times right now being over a year, so we're looking at not even receiving these until probably close, or the first of 2023. We want to go ahead and get these approved and get them down to purchase. So the first one is Unit 17, and we've got pictures here to the side just so you'll get a look at what those are. We received 4 bids for that. The lowest bid there you'll see was from Altech for $134,682, and we would recommend that we accept that bid for Unit 17. And you go to the And the next slide here shows Unit 23. And by the way, these vehicles do have about 10 years on them now, so you all know with normal wear and tear, that's a pretty long time for a vehicle. So with the bucket truck, we're ready to get this done before they lay down on us. You'll see on here, the lowest bid is from Terex for $167,768. However, after speaking with Trigg and with his guys, they would prefer that we go with Altech. There's a difference of about $4,000, but they are much more familiar with that product. That's what we've used before, and they feel more comfortable with that. So we would recommend that we go with Altech for the purchase of Unit 23 as well.
Any discussion? Anybody?
So they all of them are the same far as the vehicle.
Yes, all of these meet the specs that we sent out.
Right.
What's the difference in Altech and the what is that, Terex?
It's just a different brand that makes the truck,
Okay.
a different company.
Is this familiar with the guys in the shop? They know what the differences are and things like that?
Yes, that's why they would prefer Outtech. They're just not familiar with the Turex where they are with the Outtech.
Well, there's not enough difference to worry about here. If they prefer that, I think it'd be okay with me. How about the rest of you guys?
I agree. I'll make a motion that we accept the bid on both vehicles from Altech.
I'll second
Got a
that.
second? All in favor? Aye? Aye, aye. Motion, all opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Ratify the programming committee's changes.
Yes, so since we met last month, the program committee has met and they made several recommendations. They approved these and looking for you all to approve those as well. There were a couple of channel changes that were completed. Removal of the Fusion channel. We also had to approve what's called a PCM for ESPN and Disney, which basically just allowed us to be able to view the agreement that came up later. And they did approve the program agreement with ESPN and Disney. Part of that was dropping ESPN Classic. I will tell you that it ended up a lot better than they expected. The price increase was very minimal, which is very good for ESPN and Disney, and actually dropping Fusion and ESPN Classic offset that increase. So approving this is not going to have any effects on the future cable rate increase.
What's that HMM?
Hallmark movies.
On what?
Hallmark movies.
Oh, okay.
Do we know how many people watch these channels? Can we record how many of those happen? Anybody watches channels?
We cannot, we just have to go by what our customer, what feedback we get from them.
Okay, but we don't know if a channel is being used, how many or people are signed on to it at the time?
There's no way,
Right.
with our cable equipment, there is no way to tell because it's a broadcast channel. It's not like they fire up a stream or anything. The technology just
Yeah.
doesn't allow it.
Okay. Okay, I was just curious. Have any recommendations on this?
I'll make a motion, we approve this.
Okay. Motion's on the
Second.
table. Have a second?
Second.
Have a second on the table. Any further discussions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Discussion of the billing format. This is something I put on there because I have been getting a lot of people calling, sending me emails regarding the billing format being changed from a detail to a lump sum values, and they like to see the detail. And I asked Melanie about it. She said you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I think Josh may have said that, and I don't know. But I sort of like to hear what other people are thinking about it or hearing about it.
Yeah, you originally sent that email to Josh to ask him about it, and I responded as best as I could. I didn't hear anything back from you, so I wasn't sure exactly what to present today or tonight. But as far as the electric portion now, you all can see on both of these, I don't know if they can't see me, but here, where it just says electric and there's an amount, before we changed to the two different rates, it was listed this way, but the customer charge was separate. When we added the variable rate, then that was split out. So you saw on-peak, off-peak, kilowatt hours, your maximum, your coincident peak charge. When the board voted to move that back to just a flat rate, in order to get that done so quickly, we had to go with this type of format. What we would recommend, because we do hear from our customers every day, is to split that back out to a customer charge, which is just the fixed portion of the electric charges, and then the energy charge. And with that, they would be able to look at this over here, their kilowatt hours, and divide that out and know what their kilowatt hour rate is.
The fuel charge is in there too, right?
Yes, the fuel charge is already in there, and that's something that changes monthly. And it varies, I mean, it's right around 2 cents, hardly changes. So that's another reason why we don't feel like it's important to break that piece of it out.
Okay.
And you had mentioned old bills or bills that are on forbearance. If you'll look on the one on the right, under electric, it does show that already split out. And if they're on levelized billing, the bill on the left shows the actual month's charges. If you add those, it does not come up to the amount at the bottom because we're not asking them to pay that. We're asking them to pay that levelized amount.
Yeah.
And then on
the leveling charge should be shown in there somewhere.
Well,
How much?
It's shown there on the right, on the bottom of that bill. What that shows is the accumulated total. So it doesn't show each month, but it tells them if they go off of levelized after this bill, we would either owe this customer $29, or if there's a positive amount there, they would be billed for that amount.
Okay. Anybody else have any discussions over this or suggestions? Hearing none, and there's no motions on the table, I guess we move on. The Economic Development Funds, I presume I saw in the news that we had gotten the okay, and it had been dispersed to the Boys and Girls Club. I presume that's correct.
Yes.
It is.
Yes, that was done last week on the 19th, and I've included a copy there of the photo that was taken. And there has been, like you mentioned, a press release already sent out, a joint one between Bridge Kentucky Boys and Girls and the Plant Board.
Good. That's great. I see Mr. Collins up in the front there. He's a big sponsor of the Boys and Girls Club.
He is.
All right. No motions on that or information necessary. We're down to superintendent's reports, I guess.
Yes, for September, there's basically no change. You can see there, 0.00072 decrease. So, like I said earlier, the FCA rarely changes by any amount that's significant. And the next, go ahead to the next one. I just want to give you all an update on this. I know we've gone back and forth. Our lobby was closed for a little while last year. We opened it back up. I was mentioning earlier, we're such a small company. If we have several that are out, we're going to be in trouble. Trying to keep the lights on, being open for customers to pay their bills and set services, so we just can't afford to take any risk that's not necessary. So we decided to close the lobby back down on the 9th. That doesn't mean we're not doing everything we did before. We're just going back to doing it through the drive-through. We've had no issues with that. Really, we don't hear any complaints from it. As long as we're doing what we need to do, the customers seem to be happy. We have gone back to requiring masks when inside the building and outside of your workspace, and also with our guys that are out in the company vehicles. If there's more than one, we've already ran into that where we've had one, either their son or daughter, or they've tested positive, and then again, when you have two people together and you take those two out, we're in trouble. So we're trying to do everything that we can to keep that from happening. And that's why the board meetings, we are requiring masks. They're open to the public. As long as we don't meet our capacity in this room, everyone can come in here, but you do have to wear a mask.
Okay. Electric rate changes?
Yes, and I know while this has been a popular item of discussion and debate. What I'm going to show you tonight may not make everyone happy, but I feel like it is my duty, my responsibility to show you the data that we have gotten over the last couple of months since we've made the rate change. And I feel like it's your all's also, do your due diligence when we're constantly looking at rate analysis, what might need to be changed, what needs to be kept, needs to be looked at. So I've got several different slides here to go through. The first one deals with load factor. I know you all have heard this before, but basically load factor is how efficient your system is. And that means as far as customer usage. So if you have, as customers are using electricity, of course you have, your line here of this usage. We have all heard of the peaks. Well, when that usage goes up, you're going to have these peaks. So when you have peaks, valleys, your load factor is not very good, because during that peak time, you're having to find, or TDA's having to find other generation sources to make sure that they can provide electricity during that peak time, which are expensive. So why do we care about our load factor? Because it's more expensive. The lower that is, the more expensive it is to the plant board, which is to our customers. So if you look here, 2014 and 15, which are the red bars there, that was before we put the variable rate in place, which offers an incentive to customers to try to cut down on that peak. Our load factor was not very good. Once we put the variable rate in, you can see how it jumped up. So those green bars show those years we had the incentive in place. Customers said, hey, okay, I'm going to watch what I'm doing. We were able to keep more. Everybody's heard of flatten the curve. We were able to flatten that curve more. And then 2021, the 2 months since, we've dropped back down. Why? Because we're not having to watch those peaks any longer. Go ahead and go to the, does anybody have any questions about the load factor? Okay, so the next thing to look at is your consumption patterns. So I went back to June and July of last year, and the average kilowatt hour usage was about 1,200 kilowatt hours. For this year, it actually has gone down slightly, 1,150, which could be weather, different things. Which was a decrease, it says increase, it was actually a decrease of right at 4%. But if you look at the demand, it has gone up almost 25%. And that's part of what's driving that low load factor. Okay, so what does, go ahead, Josh. What does this mean for bills? On this graph, it's showing June comparable bill impacts. So the green bar, or green bars, are showing average bills in 2020. Okay, so we have, in order to compare apples to apples, we've got to go back to a year where people were on the rate they had chosen and what their usage patterns were. So if you look at 2020, customers that were on the variable rate then, their bill was $114.55, average $115. The flat rate customers paid an average of $164. Now, if we take the rates that we put in place this year and apply those to last year's data, this is the results. The variable customers would have paid over $10 more last year if they had had the rates we're on today. The flat rate customers would have paid $8 less than what they paid last year. And if you go to the next slide, it's showing, it's July. And you'll see same results. Except actually for July, the difference is nearly $18 for the variable customers. So while the revenue itself it's revenue neutral, the rate change was, it has actually caused the variable rate customers who before could control their bill to no longer be able to control it and to pay more than what the flat rate customers. So the flat rate customers are seeing a decrease, variable rates are seeing an increase. And
I think you can control what you use now, and you directly are charged for what you use. I don't think that saying that the control of it makes it cheaper.
Yeah.
If somebody pays more, somebody pays less.
And I'm not here to argue with you, DT. All I'm doing is showing you the data. I mean, this is what
I
we have.
understand, and I understand the data too.
Yeah, and the reason we use.
I figured these numbers out myself a couple of times.
Okay, well, the reason that we used 2020 was because customers last year were conserving like they wanted to. You know, this year, there's no incentive other than I just want to cut back on what I'm using. Last year, they were able to cut back even more to save money. So that's why we used last year's usage patterns to present these graphs here.
But essentially, if somebody is able to take advantage of the system, they pay less than somebody who's not pays more. So, a flat rate seems a lot more sensible to me, and I don't think anybody's suffering very much.
I do want to say, before we did get complaints, you got complaints, the board did, I'm sure, from customers who didn't necessarily like the peak rate because they didn't want to have to watch what they were using. So they had the alternative of the flat rate. What we're seeing now is we're getting a lot of complaints from customers that were on that variable rate that now say that has changed their bill quite a bit. And actually, if you'll go to the next slide, Josh. Nope, the one before that.
Oh, that's good.
This shows the same thing, just in a different way. So on the left, the customers that were on the variable rate, with what I just showed you, almost 2,500 customers' bills would have increased. The flat rate, 50 would have increased. With the flat rate, 1,700, so basically all of those customers would have seen a decrease in their bill. On the variable rate, about the same amount, or it is the same amount, but as far as a proportion, nowhere near. So again, I'm not here to tell you what's best, what you all should do. My job is to present you the information and let you all make the decision. So I hope that you will want to continue to see these types, of graphs and this information going forward so we can see what changes we may need to make.
So in other words, by taking away the choice that people had of whether they wanted to be able to control their bill with the variable rate or whether they wanted to just use whatever they wanted to use when they want to use it and pay a flat rate, basically it boils down to we have some customers subsidizing other customers simply because we took a choice away. So my question is, and Ron, this is for you. You cannot unsee what you have seen. So we have all seen, if we bother to actually educate ourselves and look at it with open minds, we have all seen that variable rate allows people to save money if they so choose that rate. That was the beautiful thing in having a choice that was taken away. So Ron, my question is, wait a minute, I have a question for Ron. My question to you is, what type of class action lawsuits are we potentially looking at in the future now because of this?
That's something that I didn't think about.
When somebody is able to buy power at a cheaper rate, somebody has to pay more. And if you heard that numbers, there were a lot of people paying less, but there were a lot more paying more.
And once again, BT, everybody
gamble like
has a
that.
choice,
When
and you want
gamble
to sit
like
on your
that,
throne and take away the choice.
You don't pay what you get, you pay for what somebody wants you to pay.
And if you would bother
What-
to
the way
actually
it is now,
educate
you
yourself
pay for
on
what you
that,
get,
instead of having an
everybody does,
agenda of your
and
own, you
there's
might
no
actually
gaming in the
understand
system.
it. But I didn't ask you a question, I asked Ron a question about what possible class actions this might open this organization up to.
I'm not sure it would open it up to any, but I certainly can check into it, because, this board sets the rate structures unless there is some discrimination type basis. I don't know of any class action that you would have because you don't like the rate of the electric.
No, it's not about not liking it, it's about now we have certain customers basically subsidizing others,
Yeah.
which is what they complained about to begin with, and it wasn't the case, so.
The only difference, I guess, being you don't have a choice.
Yeah, I know, the choice was taken away.
Right.
So anyway, carry on.
All right, let's.
Oh, and wait, one more thing. I did have a little note here that was dropped off in the drive-through. So this is what the EPB, the great team here, is getting now. Thanks, Board of Directors, used 229 kilowatts less this month over the same monthly, but paid $32.79 more. So I guess I really don't understand your math, DT, when you're using less and paying more. So anyway, now you can carry on.
Okay,
Melanie, I did have a question. I was thinking, when we projected this, you said if you would stay in the 900 kilowatts or less, it would be a significant savings. So are some people seeing that savings?
Some people are. Yeah, I mean, and that's what this shows here. There
Okay.
are some that have gone down.
And that's probably the 900 kilowatt
More
range
than
or
likely.
less?
Yes.
Okay, so there are a few people that have told me that they've saved a little money on it.
Yes, and that is true. I mean, if you look on here, there are some that
Okay.
have saved money.
Yeah.
But when
Okay.
we look at the data though, there is a majority of customers whose bill increased.
Right, the majority did go up.
okay. Next. I think we've worn this out, we're not gonna get anywhere. There's no motion's gonna be made. This is just discussion.
The next item is the outage reports, and I did bring this before you all last month for the first time. I would like to see added to it cable and internet services as well. This only shows electric, so we'll work on that if it's something that you all would like to see. You will see here trees, of course, were the biggest issue we had in July, causing 14 outages. On the right side there, trees, of course, cause the longest outages as well. And the longest single outage there at the bottom was 244 minutes, which was due to a tree that fell on a primary line over on Meadow Drive. That was in a customer's backyard. And when that happens, it's very difficult to get all of our equipment in there and do what we need to do. So although this outage only affected, I believe, 27 customers, it did, so you all may not have even known about it or heard about it. It did take a lot of our crew's time just to get that fixed. So they are trying to take that possibility away by putting the service underground instead of overhead, so it takes, the trees aren't obviously going to hurt in that situation. But like I said, I think we do need to add to it cable and definitely internet service now, because that's one of the main services that we provide. And that's everything that I have, DT.
Okay, thank you. Good report. Next item on the agenda is something that we have kicked around a little bit, is the compensation for Melanie for the time and the work that she's done as interim superintendent. And I would just like to make a motion and put it on the table, and we can discuss it and curse it or whatever we want to do, but I would move that we pay Melanie for the period that she was interim superintendent the same salary that Billy Ray would have received had he been chairman, and that the difference be included in her current salaries, or if she wants to take the difference as a lump sum, whichever she chooses.
To discuss that, you'd have to have a second.
Pardon?
I said, you made that motion, and to discuss that, you called Billy chairman, you met him as soon as...
I have to have a second first.
Right, that's what I was saying. Nobody said anything, I'm just letting you know. There's no discussion.
I'll second with that for discussion.
We have a second for discussion, of course. And it's up for discussion.
So now, repeat what you said.
I said that for the time that Melanie has served as interim superintendent, that we pay her retroactively the same salary that Billy Ray would have received had he been superintendent, and that she can take that as an increase in pay, or she can take it as a lump sum, however she'd like to take it.
From March till what? September 13th or whatever?
It's basically 6 months.
Melanie, how does that sound to you?
I'm just gonna be grateful for what I get, so I'm leaving that up to you all.
Well, it's better than what they've been talking about, so, you know.
DT, may I ask a question? Are you talking about Melanie can take it as a lump sum, that difference, or are you saying she can get that difference over time, I guess? Is that what you're wanting to?
You know, sometimes there are tax advantages in doing things one way or the other, and what it would be, you know, neutral to the board, would be the same cost, and however it would be beneficial to her to take, that would be fine. You can take it as a salary, or you can take it as a lump sum difference. And that would be up to Melanie, and she can figure it out. I'm sure she's a better accountant than the rest of us. No further discussions? Ready for a vote?
Ready.
Have a roll call vote. Marlon?
Yes.
Glenn?
Yes.
Libby?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
DT, yes. Motion carries. Any other business that we have?
I do have one thing there on the old business, I guess, that's why I put it in here. I was notified by TVA that they have approved the extension of the pandemic relief credit. You all may remember it's a 2.5% that's on our wholesale bill. It's now the pandemic recovery credit, but that will continue for the next year, and they may possibly extend it beyond that. But we don't have to do anything, because that portion is actually not passed on to our customers right now. We did pass the flexibility agreement credit, or the long-term partnership credit, but because that is not, we don't have to take any type of action. So that's just informational for you all.
Okay. Any further? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Got a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.